On today's episode, what software do you need to get started as a web designer? We're going to cover all the softwares you need and exactly how to use them to get started as a web designer. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, what's up? My name is Ron and welcome back to the free web design course. Now in the next videos, I'm going to cover some of the basic core principles of graphic design such as color, typography, layout, and all that kind of stuff. But to make sure that you can practice and you can follow along the course, I want to make sure that you have the right software to get started and then you can play around with it for a little bit. So in this video, I want to cover all the software that you need and why do you need these different softwares to do your web design. Now, this is not going to be in-depth tutorials for these softwares. It's just going to be a little bit of intro. Later on in the course, we're going to have a little bit more in-depth videos about the softwares themselves. But now I want to make sure that you have what you need to at least get started. So there's basically three types of software that you're going to need when you're designing for the web. The first one is image editing software. The second one is vector editing software. The third one is screen design software, and maybe as a bonus, maybe an animation software, but we're not going to dive into animation right now. So let's talk about why these three different softwares. In this video, and my personal favorite, I'm using the Adobe suite. So I'll be using Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, and Adobe Xd. However, there are free or different alternatives to these software depending on where you are. So in the description below, you can find alternatives to the software that I'm showing you. In any case, they all work the same. So as long as you figure out and you understand the core basic, which I'm going to cover right here, it doesn't really matter. You need to understand the principles and then you can apply them in whatever software you choose to work with at the end of the day. So let's get started understanding the basic principle. Why do we need these type of things? What's the difference between image editing and vector editing? So if you don't really know what's the difference between vector and bitmap, which is images, I want to dive into really a quick example and show you. So I'm right here in Photoshop and I have kind of a page that I started and I want to just draw, not an Illustrator, let's jump into Photoshop and all right, so let me draw just a little rectangular, okay? And you can see I have tools here and on the side, and I chose a rectangular, a black one, not a rectangular, sorry, circle, and I drew a black circle right here. And also let's choose the type tool and let's write something here like hello world. And I can change the fonts that I have here. So let me choose some kind of a font and I'm gonna make this really big. Okay, so we have that. We have a weird text and we have a circle. Now, if I'm going to zoom in here, really inside, you can start seeing that we have a grid of pixels right here. So as you may or may not know, every screen that we use, whether it's your mobile device or the screen on your desktop, the screen is basically comprised of little pixels, which is the dots of color that we're seeing. So right here, when we're really zooming in, we can actually see those rectangular, we can see those pixels. And to create the effect of a circle, because it's rectangular, we're faking it, right? So there are black rectangulars and grayer rectangulars. So when you're zoomed out, it looks like a nice circle. And also when we're zooming in on the type, you can see that basically that's how it looks. Those are how the pixels are being drawn out. And we are, again, in an image editing software. We are in Photoshop right now. So all our designs and images that we're working with are going to be pixel based. However, if I'm jumping right now into Illustrator, which is a vector editing tool, and I'm going to use the same tool. Look, the tools here looks just as very, very similar. I'm going to choose a circle. And then I'm going to choose some type and I'm going to write, hello world, world. Of course, you're about to see many typos in this video, so just don't bust my ass for that. If I'm going to zoom in right now, look what happens here in Illustrator. The lines are, no matter how I'm zooming in, the lines are still crisp and smooth, and the same is right for the type. Everything keeps getting smooth. It doesn't get pixelated, and we actually don't see any rectangular. The lines are still curved here. So why is that? What's the difference? So a vector is actually just a calculation between some points. So here in Illustrator, we can actually jump into a points mode, and you can see in this case that we basically have some points here, and the line that you see here is basically the trajectory of the line between those dots. And this line and these shapes are being calculated every time. So no matter what size we're looking at it, the computer will calculate and recalculate the trajectory between these lines. So when we're in Photoshop, basically the computer has to remember every pixel, what's the color of this pixel. So this is a black pixel, this is a gray pixel, and this is a white pixel, whereas in a vector shape, basically it just remembers that we have 4 points, and then depending on how big or small we want those lines to be, it recalculates them. So that means that here we're not really limited on the size. Here, if we're going to try to really print this out or zoom in here, this is going to look what we call pixelated, and it's going to look bad, right? However, here we can keep zooming in and zooming in. So that's the core difference between a vector and a pixel. Now, when we're using images, such as images from a camera, let's say I'm using images. I have here an image of a dog. Let's say an image of a dog is always going to be a bitmap, right? Because this is not a calculation. This is just like a camera took a picture and remember exactly in each pixel, as you can see, what's the color of this specific picture. So images are always bitmap, and when we want to edit them, we're going to have to use with an image editing software. So in this case, if we want to edit this image, we're probably going to do that within Photoshop. Now, I want to jump into an example of a website that I built a client a while ago. And here's just a page, but I want to show you kind of the different images and resources and assets that we have on this page. So on the top, you can see an image. So this is a bitmap. However, I wanted to change its color. I wanted to give it kind of a color overlay. So if that's something that you want to do for your website, you're probably going to have to do this within Photoshop. Again, you can also do this in a limited capacity in other software, but if you really want to talk about colors and affecting, the different colors of a bitmap, you're probably going to do that within Photoshop. Now, I'm not going to dive super in-depth into color editing right now, but I just want to show you, because we're working right now with the image of the dog, I can create all kinds of color overlay. Let me create here a layer and color this in whatever, blue, for example. Now, Photoshop has all kinds of different, it's called blending modes, in order to combine this blue rectangular and the image below. And that's how we can create all kinds of visual effects and edits to the image and reach very, very specific types of visual effects. So if you want to edit how an image looks like, and it's probably something that you'll have to do, work with images on the website that you're going to design, you're going to have to use some image editing software. Now, when we scroll down here, we have a little two different images. So here we have kind of a visualization of a dashboard within a screen, and here we have some kind of a 3D chip hovering, and there's a shadow to it. So these images were also had to be created on an image editing software, because if you want to take, let me go here and if I have this image of a computer and then I want to change what's inside of it, which is basically what I did here in this case. So this was the original iMac image, and then I've went ahead and add just the dashboard on top of it in this very specific perspective. I need to do that in an image editing software. However, if we keep scrolling here, we see that this page also has some kind of icons which are vector based. So in this case, those icons are pretty much just lines that are just basic lines of shape, and there's no need for this to be an image, right? Because these are just lines in one color. So in this case, these icons, it's much easier if these icons are going to be vector, right? So you can draw something like this, give them a stroke in the color that you want, make sure that they are, strokes, and you can, design the icon that you want. Now, why is it better to do this within Vector. First of all, we're not going to be limited. We can use them in big and small. Also, the image size, when we're going to export it, the image size is going to be smaller because this is just a simple calculation. And even if the image is big, it's easier to load, and so the website is going to load faster. We're going to dive into exporting assets for the web in a later video, but this is something that you should keep in mind. So when you're drawing these types of simple icons, you probably want to do this within a vector editing software, which gives you a lot of capabilities, which we'll dive into later in the future. Now, the third part of it is to actually, how do you actually design all this page? How do you put all these assets together? And we're going to use a screen design software for that. And so here I'm working in Adobe Xd, and you can see that in all of these softwares, we always have kind of a very similar tools right here in the tools panel on the left side. So we have the basic shapes, we have the pen tool, which allows us to draw these vector complex shape. This is going to be very useful for a lot of things. And it has the type tool. However, so the reason that we're going to use this versus the fully fledged Illustrator to design the web page is because here in Adobe, here in Xd, we have some tools that allow us to create more kind of complex web components. So for example, maybe we have a blog post, and this is where, you know, the image is going to be, and we're going to have a blog title here. So blog number 1. And so maybe we want to group them together and say, now there's going to be a grid of this. So we can see we have a tool here that's called Repeat Grid, and we can do that to create more, I would say, complex layouts that are very repeat themselves and makes us easier to design web-based components. We can also use this to prototype. So what happens when you click on a button here? We're going to move into a different page. We're going to create some basic animation and interactions right here in Adobe Xd. So it's basically a simplified Illustrator version that also includes a lot of web-based components and web and also app, I should say, not only web design, also app design and interaction design in general. Now, I want to see, as I said, this is a very basic cover. We're not diving into the features of each of these, but I do want to share kind of some basic concept that repeats itself in whatever software, design software that you're going to use. So one of the first concept is, you can see here on the bottom right, is the concept of layers. And that basically means that we have these things stacked on top of each other, right? So we have, as you can see here, the background. On top of it, we have layer 1, which is this blue rectangular. And if I would create some text here, like hello, this would actually be a new layer. And these layers that are now one on top of the other, you can also rearrange, you know, how they look like. So right now, the blue is on the top, then we have the text, and then we have the dog, or I can switch this around, or I can, you know, duplicate, and then I have 2 of these, you know. And so the concept of layers and how they react to each other is something that repeats itself in all design software. So you need to understand it's kind of a stack of hierarchies. There's something on the bottom, and then you start stacking them up, and you want to make sure that you know what's on the top and what's on the bottom, and then you can see how they interact with each other. So we have the opacity, which is this really opaque? You can't see what's beneath, or maybe if we drop that down, we can see a little bit of what's going on. Or as I've showed before, we can choose a blend mode, which basically means it's on top of it, but it's not fully opaque. The colors actually blend with one another. And these concepts actually repeat themselves. So right now we're in Adobe Photoshop, but we can jump back into Illustrator, and we can see that here in Illustrator, I can't see it at the moment, but I also have a layers panel here. And you can see that everything that we drew here is also stacked in terms of the layers. So a few things that you might want to remember, and that they look very basic, but it's really important to start developing good habits of a good designer, is always make sure that you name your layers. So you can double click on those and call this, let's say, blue rectangle. rectangle or something like this, and this is going to be title, for example. So by naming your layers later on, when you're going to have a very complicated file with maybe 100 layers and it does get to these points, you're gonna understand what's going on here, and you'll be able to better manage your file. So this is kind of a habit that you should start learning. Another concept that repeats itself with all design software is the concept of styles. So if we go here into the, let's open up text styles, character styles. All right, so right now for this text, let's go in and select this text. Here on the top, you can see what fonts we're using. So let's choose, for example, TT Comments, and that's the size, and that's the color, so maybe it's red. So now we have this kind of a text. Now, a lot of times in web design, what you want to create is consistency. You want to make sure that all the titles are the same size and color and font, and there is consistency with a lot of elements, but with type specifically. And so you want to create something like a style where you're going to create a style that you're going to call this, for example, headline. So now that we have this text and we have the style of a headline, if we had another text somewhere along our design, and let's say it was with a different font and a different color, for example, we could very easily just go and select this text and choose the headline and revert back to it, and that would bring it back to the right kind of size, color, and font. And that's how we create consistency throughout our design, which is something that's really important to create good web design and design in general. So that was kind of a very quick overview about the software that you need to master in order to be able to start learning web design. You can go ahead and start to experiment with them. We'll dive deeper into them as we go through this course. As I'm recording this right now, I think Adobe is offering 2 or 3 months for free. Again, this video is not sponsored, but I've been using them for almost 20 years right now, and I do like them. I know that there are other alternatives, and as I've mentioned before, we're going to list some of the alternatives in the description below, but you want to make sure that you play around with this software so that you can keep following along this course and developing your skills as a web designer. Let me know in the comments below how you like this video and how you like this course so far, and what you'd like to see as we go along this course. We'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.